people are obsessed with valuation. You have to be really stupid to actually give seriousness to valuation. Valuation is actually not about a mathematical skullduggery to reach a number. It is actually like love, or valuation is really like beauty. You have to essentially, the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Valuation lies in the eye of the person with the money. Important is talent is not looking to be put into a box. Talent is looking for freedom. So if you're looking to actually look for mundane jobs, then HR can do the hiring. But if you're looking for talent that is futuristic, then you have to really do it yourself. When I got married, my wife didn't like the forest as much, and she wanted me to find a job like decent human beings. With great difficulty, I found a job in IIM Ahmedabad, which I didn't like because I had to sit and type papers, and I was used to running around in the forest, hanging on trees. So I left. I was given an opportunity to apply for to set up probably India's first incubator, 1998, and well, I applied for a junior position, but I was made the CEO. So at 26 years, I was the CEO of probably India's first incubator. Ran it for 4 years and learned that my salary was 17,000 rupees a month, and my expense was around 15,500 rupees a month. So 1,500 odd we used to save. Some we used to spend out of those savings. Some we used to keep. And when I decided to quit, remember that this was a quasi-government job, so there was no great salary.
Yeah.
Increments used to come once in 4 years type. So when I quit, we had literally no savings, and I quit because I was very clear that India needs capital and India needs talent, and I was more focused on rural India at that time. So because I was focused on rural India, and I thought they need capital and talent, and I was not intelligent enough. I come from a family where we act first, think later.
Yeah.
So I decided to quit, driven by and motivated by the idea to do it. Nobody in my family in the last 300 years have ever been an entrepreneur, so we had no clue what I was doing. And because I was very stupid and not very sensible, I was able to come this far. So I have always said that if you want to change the world, you have to start young. And if to save yourself, then you have to be old. Because wisdom actually guides you of what not to do.
Correct.
Naviate and youth makes you do what you must do or what should change the world. So changing the world requires you to be stupid, naive, and inexperienced. But if you want to survive yourself, then old is fine. Wisdom is fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
So people like you will change the world, not the other way around. And that's really the theory. So can I get 5,000 rupees? I think many thousand people might be doing it right now.
Correct. But was it in your innate nature to study forestry, or was it because of your society? As you said, it was conventional that made you study forestry.
No. I had no interest in forestry or management or anything. I wanted to join army and basically fight on the front. So I had no interest. I had no clue what forestry was.
Okay.
As I said, I passed out in 1991. India was mortgaging its gold. There was no jobs, nothing. I was riding around on a bicycle in Jodhpur, and a friend's father saw me there, and he thought this guy should be doing something more worthwhile than actually just bicycling around doing nothing. So he forced me to apply to this institute called Indian Institute of Forest Management.
Yeah.
And, so I applied and I actually appeared in the exam and I got through. And the building, IFM had probably one of the most beautiful buildings amongst all the big institutions in India. And more interestingly, they offered us what you call a scholarship. And so I got a 1,500 rupees per month scholarship, which was more than sufficient to take care of all my needs. What else do you want? It has nothing to do, just necessity that took me to forestry.
Okay, but I'm sure that there's a learning hidden in every sphere of whatever you do in life. So what kind of learnings did you learn from there that you till date apply in your own business?
So so I think it's all about actually what and who you are. I mean, I was 19 and a half when I actually went there, maybe 20, barely 20. And at that point of time, I mean, it was my first exposure to a very cross-cultural thing. I come from a small town, so you are certainly meeting people coming from Stephens, Hindu, and many other places who had big aspirations. Some of them who had traveled abroad and seen the world. Some of them who spoke with an accent which I couldn't understand also. And all part of a complete national integration. So we were 23 of us, all from different places, different backgrounds.
Yeah.
And to live together. So that was one. The other thing was Indian Institute of Forest Management used to give you they used to do 3 trainings, 1 field visit. Now, that's a lot of field exposure. So we worked in an industry, we worked in a consultancy, we lived in the villages, the forest, something that you're not used to doing, even if you're coming from a small middle class family.
Yeah.
So you're exposed to India in a certain manner that you're not. Then they teach you and gives you some tools and techniques like rapid rural appraisal, participatory rural appraisal, etc. These are tools and techniques which it also, so these things are at the back of your mind. It's not that they actually change anything about you.
Yeah.
I was a very happy-go-lucky guy, so that was my natural character. And I was never looking to be the richest man or the brightest man. So my aspirations were happy, and I used to be happy, very happy wherever I went. So what did we learn? I learned the following, that what I realized is you are never as good as you thought you were, but you are neither as bad as people tell you are. But that's basically what I went to IFM. I was not the brightest and the best, but I was not the worst also. So that was actually learning I had personally. You have to go in the context of a very unexposed world. Remember, we were actually barely used to have 1 channel on TV.
Yes.
And we used to watch was Ramayana. That's the maximum exposure we had. So from that,
and the history repeated itself in the lockdown when Doordarshan attracted so many viewers.
So we had actually, so you're talking to a person whose exposure levels were very low.
Yeah.
So especially coming to the Gen Z, I mean, if I have to compare myself with the Gen Z, we were really very far behind in terms of what we knew, what we were seeing. The second thing is, because we came from a middle class family and we had limited exposure, we were happy with very difficult choices. Till the time survival was okay, the choice was reasonably good. We were not really so concerned about what should be my future, how rich should I become, etc. These things never bothered us.
Yeah.
The third thing was focus on the act of. So I actually by nature a problem solver, and so I was looking to solve problems. I was not really trying to build a business.
Okay.
And because I was very interested in the problem, I was happy. So I struggled for 5 years. It never changed anything for me because my focus was on the problem, not in whose salary is how much and how much do they earn and whose car is and how many homes do they own and how rich and famous they are and how many times I have been featured in 30 under 30 and 40 under 40. These things never occurred to me. So there was zero peer pressure because my peers, I had no peer in that sense. I was the first guy trying to do impact investing. So and I did not take much pressure on what others earned. So that's how the life came through. The learnings were focus on what you are doing, don't focus on what others are doing.
Correct. But do you think had it not been for your wife's encouragement, you wouldn't have taken this step?
Yeah, I mean, see, if my wife would have said, you cannot leave your job, it would have been difficult because ultimately you are 2 people and you're taking a decision. I had a 2-year-old son and I did not know how expensive it is to send a child to school. Frankly, it was not an intelligent decision. If you ask me with my wisdom hat, it was the most stupid decision anybody will make to leave a government job to actually to start a business with 5,000 rupees in a space that you have zero experience. I was trying to raise a fund. I had never met rich people. I did not know how to raise money. I did not know how to make investments, and that to change the country or change the world when there was no funds being raised, there was no real venture funds existing.
Right.
So I could be the most stupid person in the world. If you look at it from 2001 perspective, I could also be considered as a visionary, as some people tell me now. I know I was not a visionary.
But how did you actually then learn the process and go through it, since you said you didn't know even an alphabet about impact investing or how to create a fund? So how did you learn on the go?
Well, that's very simple. You can actually go today also and earlier also. You can simply Google and
There
find.
was no internet back then.
No, there was internet. 2001, there was internet. Google had
Okay.
arrived. Google
Okay, you start.
was there,
Yeah.
so you can actually search that. Google is not that young. It's been around for quite some time. There was a dial-in internet, and the speed used to be pathetic. That's true.
Yeah.
Dial-in and used to do tung 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 tung, and then it'll keep disconnecting. But internet was there, and you can actually search. So, and Google was there for sure. I think we are not coming from the
Pre-independence period.
the extinct species time frame. We are not a dinosaur in that sense. But having said that, I think the lack of idea and a very strong passion to find an answer to the problem of why capital does not go to rural India was the driver. I was also lucky that I was able to find people who were willing to talk to me, and they came from at least the banking background. I didn't come from a banking background, but investing is very different. First, my takeaway is investing has nothing to do with finance.
Yeah, that's the biggest misconception.
Yeah, so therefore, being a forester actually is a very good thing. I think it's about ecosystem. So if you understand the difference between a garden and a forest and a plantation, then you can do investments. So my first key learning was that if you know your subject well, investing is quite basic. Second thing, people are obsessed with valuation. You have to be really stupid to actually give seriousness to valuation. Actually not about a mathematical skullduggery to reach a number. It is actually like love or valuation is really like beauty. You have to essentially, the beauty lies in the eye of the beholder. Valuation lies in the eye of the person with the money.
Okay.
So I can actually think I am the most beautiful person, but if you will look at me, you will find something ugly about me. Similarly, I may think I am a very expensive asset, but if there is nobody else willing to give you money, the person with the money in the pocket decides what your valuation is.
Yeah.
It could be 1,000, it could be 10,000, it could be 1 crore, it could be 5 crores. Funnily, there was no startup India in 2001, so people were quite okay getting 25, 50 lakhs and giving 25 to 30% of their company.
Right.
People talk in dollar terms, not in rupee terms. So therefore, investing is much more difficult now than it was. More so because most people don't know investing, or most people also don't know what valuation is, and therefore have far more confidence about valuation than knowledge about valuation. And in the current scenario, therefore, it is difficult to have a reasonable discussion with people to arrive at a sensible judgment, because everybody thinks that $100 million valuation is not much and $1 billion is just 3 years down the line.
Yeah. So are you saying that you value startups and other businesses as per what money you have in your pocket?
It's a demand and supply thing. So if you need my money, then I will decide. If I am desperate to give you money, you decide.
Okay.
So, and it's like when you go to buy aloo, right? If you have to cook aloo at home, and if your guests want to eat potatoes, then you are willing to pay any price to buy the potato.
Correct.
It's a market equilibrium, right? So the guy who's selling the potatoes doesn't know that you desperately need the potatoes.
Yeah, that's a quite relatable example.
Yeah, so he will offer you a price, which is the market price, and you will buy it. So what happens is, if you are a unique asset and everybody in the world wants you, then your price goes up.
Yeah.
If you are a classical asset, that means there are many other people who have bought it. Then there is the market price discovery. And so that's why when you come up with a tech company that is trying to change human behavior or sending people to Mars, etc., because of the USP of being very unique, you are able to attract ridiculous valuations, because people do not know, if you become successful, what will you be worth?
Correct.
And so then it becomes beauty and beholder. When you have actually market information, then it becomes a potato buying. You know, the guy is actually going to tell you what you already know.
Yeah, that's a pretty relatable analogy put forth. But apart from looking at the valuation, what are the other metrics that you look at before investing in a startup or a small business, whatever it
So I
could
think the first thing that you do is you ask yourself. So first I used to think a lot about how you're making an impact.
be? Hmm.
Even today, we actually first question we ask is, so how does your business actually create jobs, livelihoods, reduce
Yeah.
vulnerabilities, or address any issues of environment or climate? How do you do it? What does it mean? Now, there are huge number of times the entrepreneur will not know the answer to this question. So we have to go and figure it out because entrepreneur may not actually have tried to make an impact.
Hmm.
More interested in the impact of the business model rather than the what the entrepreneurs desire to make an impact. And
Yeah.
part of it is once you actually made your judgment and you believe that this is an impactful business, then the biggest focus is on the promoter
Hmm.
slash management team. And we
Correct.
have to understand and see why are they together, what are they doing, how will they know each other, can they hold each other's path, is there complementarity, is the team really good? Now
Hmm.
does not mean that they have to be from IIT, IIM, this or that. I
Yeah.
actually don't give much value. I'm a forester. I don't give value to that.
Yeah.
To the what we try to make a judgment on is, does the leader, whosoever is the promoter or the CEO, has
Hmm.
a vision? Does the leader have the capability to attract talent that is superior to him?
Yeah.
Have the capability to actually coexist and build a business with people who are superior to him.
Hmm.
We have the mental bandwidth to visualize how the business will be 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years down the line. These are
Yeah.
statements you make. Then you actually ask yourself, is there a unit economics in the business? That means it does not matter whether the business is going to make money today or 3 years or 5 years down the line.
Hmm.
Is something that we can make a judgment on that inherently the business has ability to make profits?
Okay.
We focus on the unit economics. Then
Hmm.
find look around and say, if this business operating in a universe that is large enough to allow them scale. And what does scale mean? Scale could mean 100 crores, 500 crores, 1000 crores. For us, we define scale as, is there a chance of this business building 1000 crore revenue with a reasonable profitability over a period of 7 to 10 years?
Yeah.
So if you can find a business like that with an impact potential, and we are also very interested in, and so we are interested in, if you are investing, if you are in UP, Bihar, Jharkhand, Orissa, West Bengal, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, any of these states which are also called the low income states,
Hmm.
then you are creating jobs where people live. So our interest is to create jobs where people live. Creating more jobs in Mumbai is not really our interest. So
Yeah.
what we are trying to do is create jobs and livelihoods where people live. You saw the COVID challenge. You saw how million people walked. They walked because they were living far away from their houses. We want
Yeah.
to change that thought process. We want to make investments and build companies
Hmm.
where, or what can create efficiencies in the life of people as they grapple with problems that impact their daily lives. And we call them problems worth solving. So if we can find a problem that is worth solving, we believe capital is going to make a difference, and we can find an entrepreneur who is willing to convert that problem into an opportunity. Voila, you have an investment proposition.
Yeah.
Valuation, a secondary thought process after that.
True, that's a very rational way of thinking. So, Hero Motorcorp actually made an ambulance in order to facilitate travel during COVID. So, was that one of your investments too?
No.
Okay, so how do you deal with investments that don't go as planned? What do you deal with failure? Have you witnessed any kind of those in the recent past?
Lots of failures. You go and do a high five with the entrepreneur and say, better luck next time, and write off your money.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what you do.
But how do you ensure a good relationship is sustained? Because many a times that might not happen.
So, see, I think human beings have good relationships, bad relationships. You will fight. You will. But we are in the business of not really bothering about the individuals. We are bothering about the purpose and the goal why we are doing it. So we are making an investment so that people are able to build a business that will create genuine difference to the life of the people. Now the objective is that now if a person becomes successful, then our objective is met. There will always be haggling because we have to generate returns. We have to return the capital.
Yeah.
But a big objective is met if the company is doing very well.
But which sectors are those which lures you the most? Could be FMCG, could be automobiles. Which is your own best sector that you would love to invest?
We don't have a best sector, but I'll tell you what we do.
Yeah.
We financial services, financial inclusions, microfinance, SME lending, fintechs, ATMs, ATM distribution. So we do all that. We have done agriculture. We are the first probably venture capital investor or impact investor in the agriculture space. We have been investing since 2009. And all kinds. We just sold a company called Soulful to Tata's, which actually helped convert ragi or millets into breakfast cereal. So we are bringing a hardy Indian natural crop, which is grown into arid lands by the poorest of the farmers, to the palate of the richest Indians by converting it into breakfast cereal. Now, in the objective is that the more people, the more rich Indians eat ragi, the more Indian farmers living in the land will consume less water and produce a dry land crop that could actually fetch them a reasonable return. So you want to reduce, we know climate change, desertification, water issues, pesticide, poisoning of soil. We are trying to address all those challenges and doing it commercially while making money, because as you know, it is important to do everything sustainably. So philanthropy is a very good thing, very important thing. But philanthropy is a very small part of the bucket. Globally, there is not more than a few $100 billion available for philanthropy, while impact investment is already reaching around close to $1 trillion of assets.
Yeah. But as you said, you're a happy-go-lucky person. That's why you've built around 7,000 team members across the world. So if you could just give us a few tips as to how did you hire people in the initial stage and how did you grow the whole process ladder?
So I think people used to tell me, if you pay peanuts, you get monkeys. So I am one of those guys who actually offered peanuts and got brilliant human beings. My first question to people was, if you're looking for a job, I'm the wrong guy, because I have nothing to offer you in terms of money. But if you're looking for a journey, which is exciting, if you're looking for a roller coaster exciting, then I can offer you a job, but I'll cut down your current salary by 50 to 90%, depending on when they've joined me. I think in my life, I have never given anybody a salary increase. My group might have actually, but I have always cut people's salary down. We could not pay them their salaries or pay higher salaries. It was only to actually see if they are interested in what we do or they are looking for a job. I don't have a problem with the job. It's just that because we are working on a very challenging thought process and we are trying to create jobs, I wanted somebody who is mission driven rather than job driven.
Yeah.
First thing. The second part is, if you and I are successful, you will be a very rich person. That was my second thing. Of course. So it was not a carrot in front of the donkey. It is actually a hope. And I said, we are going to jointly build this together. So it's not mine or yours. It's ours. And so people joined me. There were people who were very bright from IITs, IIMs. There were people from Harvard, Wharton. And they joined because they believed in the mission. Some hated me, some left me midway, some stayed on. And over a period of time, that number kept increasing. The thought process stayed same. More professionals came in. As professionals came in, we became more professional. I personally am quite unprofessional myself, but my colleagues are very professional, very polished, very sound. They come from the best of the best places, and they are bright manpower that we have.
So how does your hiring process look like? I know I should be asking this question to your HR, but from your perspective, if you were to hire a senior person or a junior person, what would
all the senior person I try to hire myself. I don't actually, first and foremost, I don't believe in any company HR is capable to hire. HR is not a good hiring thing. It's the job of the leaders to do the hiring.
Yeah.
So if any of you are listening as young entrepreneurs, the only thing that you can do is do hiring for yourself. No HR in the world can hire good leaders. I mean, I would not like to be interviewed by an HR, frankly. Not because they're not good. I don't think so. They really understand what I am looking for.
Right.
Second, which is very critical and important, is talent is not looking to be put into a box. Talent is looking for freedom. So looking to actually look for mundane jobs, then HR can do the hiring. But if you're looking for talent that is futuristic, then you have to really do it yourself. finally, it's the inspiration that makes people join.
Yeah.
Somebody joins you for salary, then there is somebody somewhere who's willing to offer a better salary at any given point of time. That person is not going to stay with you because of the salary. And if you can understand these three things, you will be able to retain people for long periods of time. I'm not saying they will be with you all your life. They will be there long enough to create serious value, not just for you, for themselves, but also for the general society at large.
Right. No, that's a brilliant thought leadership, and no wonder why you have 7,000 people across the globe. I mean, I was stunned to see that figure when I read in your bio about it.
Yeah, well, there is a little bit of cliche in there. We have a microfinance company which has 6,500 of it, but we
Okay.
have 500 professionals. We roughly have around 800, 900 people who would qualify as professionals coming with an MBA and above degree.
Yeah.
A lot of people who come with 10th and 12th working for us, but they are working in places, in villages where they come from.
Okay.
And so that is really what we are all trying to do. We have to create jobs and livelihoods. Aavishkaar Group, over last 20 years, we have created around 2.5 lakhs jobs and livelihoods, roughly impacted 11 crore lives. And we hope and pray we can do much more over the next 10 years.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see the numbers reach a peak high soon. And how did you get into creating funds right from impact investing you started? How did you get into this fund creation, fund setup business?
So as I told you, I wanted to actually take money to rural India. The way to do it is to set up a venture capital fund.
Yeah.
I went to a law firm. They said they needed $100,000. I had $5,000. Commitment of $100,000. So I actually studied Mauritian law, Singaporean law, Indian law, and then
Okay.
took some help from some other people. Somehow structured this thing. Went to SEBI, got her registered.
Yeah.
And went and studied FEMA just to understand how to get money in.
Right.
Then I had never traveled outside India. I used to live in Ahmedabad, so I drove. I had a Maruti 800. We drove. Maruti 800 is no more under manufacturing, so we drove in that car. Came to Mumbai. I thought Mumbai will have a lot of rich people, but luckily there were some people from IIM Ahmedabad who heard about me that there is this guy who wants to change India and he's looking for money. So they asked me to come to Singapore. I had never traveled out of India, so sent me a to and fro ticket. So I flew first time in my life, 2001, out of India, landed up in Singapore. Anant Nageshwaran, who happens to be in Prime Minister's Economic Council now, offered me his house. Ramya, who now treats other, took care of me. Next day in the evening, they made me meet 45 odd Indians, included people like Jayesh Parekh, Arun Dias, Jayesh, co-founder of Sony Entertainment.
Yes, yes.
I was a 29-year-old forester trying to impress them to take money, and Jayesh Parekh was the first one to actually cut a check of $15,000 Singapore dollars. And I raised $100,000, came back to India. Anant then helped me go from $100,000 to $1 million by 2005. It took us 5 years to go from $100,000 to $1 million. In 2005, I reflected, why am I struggling to raise money? And my belief was that I talk too much about poor and poverty and impact, and too little about the business and the entrepreneurs and what they are doing. I changed my strategy, and in the next 5 years, I went from $1 million to $27 million. In 2010, I actually asked myself again, how do you look at the next decade? I've gone from $100 to $27 million. And I realized that I should actually rethink my strategy. I should try to actually create scale. One of the big questions that kept coming to me is, Vineet, how would you scale this? Is this about, how do you scale this? And so I also asked myself, if I'm actually, as an individual, should I actually be looking to, am I an entrepreneur or am I an investor? And formerly so I was trying to become an entrepreneur investor. 2010 to 20, I went from $27 million to around $1.2, $1.3 billion. And in this period, I became an entrepreneur, and not one entrepreneur, but I've done multiple things. So we have 4 companies. 2 of them actually have merged. So actually, there were 5. There are 4, and together that's 1.2 billion. And in this period, we have grown from, I think, some 30, 40 people to 7,000 people as well. So last 10 years, the growth has been quite spectacular. And we want to see if we can go from 1.2 billion to $12 odd billion by 2030, which will make us a reasonably sized fund management or asset management business. hopefully, probably, if everything goes right, maybe having 75,000 to a lakh of people directly employed. Hopefully, we would have created 1 million to 1.5 million jobs through investments that we make. And hopefully, we would have impacted at least 100 crore people. So.
Wow, that's quite a journey. And I think without people's support, it's difficult to climb up the ladder on your own, I feel, because they are the ones who guide and mentor.
Yeah, I think the most important thing that I did was I always surrounded. And I think to, again, a lot of young people who are listening or who's talking to or writing about, a few advices. A mentor is somebody whom you discuss with, you don't idolize. So don't try to be your mentor. When you actually meet a mentor, just see if you can have an honest discussion. You don't need to actually be impressed or admiring or idolizing your mentor. That's fine. Second, try to be yourself, not anybody else. I idolized my mentor, and then I realized very quickly it will send me into depression. So because my mentor was just too gifted. His gentleman's name is Vijay Mahajan. He's one of the most inspirational social entrepreneurs. Gold medalist from IIT Delhi, gold medalist from IIM Ahmedabad, Woodrow Wilson Scholar in Pennsylvania, UPenn. So I actually realized I can never compete or stand to him, and that would actually. So I, instead of being a poor version of Vijay Mahajan, I wanted to be the best version of Vineet Rai. Some time to understand the difference, and I think that's one very important thing. Surround yourself with people who are smarter and better than you, people who have wisdom. Listen to their advice, but do what you feel like. And that's another second advice which people should take very carefully. Listen to everybody's advice, but do what you want to do. Otherwise, you will never be able to just do justice to your own vision.
Correct. Many people actually get influenced at this age and try to do something or try to become something that others want them to be. And that's
it's okay to be arrogant and stupid. It's fine.
Yeah.
And very stupid. So I encourage people to be arrogant and stupid. But humility is important. So be humble as well. But there's nothing wrong in being a little arrogant and a little stupid.
Yeah. And that's a philosophy that I'm going to note for sure. And I wanted to know, like, what is your take on this union budget that just came up? I know there are a lot of discussions that's going on. Even you have, spoken about it at a couple of forums. But I would just want to hear a summary about it in bits and pieces.
So I think that it's very clear this budget has been, so the government has chosen to spend a lot of money, especially trying to build infrastructure. Now, if you look at it, even America, the way it has been constructed, they invested significant amount of money in trying to build United States of America. And that creates, that has a virtuous cycle of it. You build roads, you build buildings, you require steel, you require cement, you require infrastructure. The infrastructure gets built, create another virtuous cycle, it creates value. When government acquires land, it actually buys land from people get money into the job, into their pockets, they spend money. So there's a lot of virtuous cycle that happens when government spends money, more so to create infrastructure that can be utilized for decades. And I think what the government is choosing to do is to follow that approach. And if that approach is followed, that expenditure is made, and if government do follow maximum governance, minimum government, that approach that they have been claiming to follow, then I think you are going to have a very good decade coming forward. I have always believed that budget should not necessarily be making a huge difference to our lives, because it's just a statement of expenditure and planning for the government.
Yeah.
However, given the circumstances that we are dealing with, especially in a post-COVID world, I think the budget has taken a significant significance because of the challenges that we are faced with, and therefore has also seen a very strong support from the markets and from a lot of pundits as well. It was not a budget that was actually trying to take some money out from my pocket and give it to somebody else. It's a budget that's trying to balance growth, aspiration, and lack of equity that this country faces at this point of time, where poor are getting poorer and rich are getting richer.
Yeah, but I felt that it also lacked a bit of information when it came to bad banks. The restructuring and the structuring of how a bad bank would function and come up in the near future was a bit unclear. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, I don't think so. Budget actually gives you a very clear idea of what will happen. Like 2 years back, budget talked about social stock exchange. It's very difficult for anybody to understand what a social stock exchange is, but I worked on the committee along in SEBI on that concept. So it took us a year to actually draft the report, call it a social structure, and what will it do. Similarly, a bad bank is just an idea because there are going to be a lot of bad. So you have given loans to people and those loans will turn bad because business was out for a year and the plummeted quite significantly. Now there are significant investments made by all the banks and we will have to find innovative ways of cleaning those balance sheets. A bad bank therefore would actually be, and remember the government took a very clear position, this will be a private bad bank.
Yeah.
You're doing is you are trying to find somebody who can completely take on all the bad loans and then try to see if they can find ways to correct them. Now, can a good bank do it? Well, a good bank also does it, but then there are lots of moral hazards when you're doing it. I mean, how do you decide that you will shave off 70% of the loan or 80% of the loan? And then you can actually have audit and people chasing you later when you're retired. So people don't want to take those kinds of risks. If you are a bank by name, then you would have a lot of freedom and latitude to restructure that. And so in my view, therefore, one should actually just see and wait for the fine print of what that bad bank would be. But it seems like it will be a public-private partnership and it would actually be run by professionals. And the idea would be actually to extract maximum value of whatever loans have turned bad. Is the balance sheet of the banks and move it to one place.
Right. And why do you think is government emphasizing so much on privatization? Already Adani has taken over the Bombay airport and now the privatization of railways is also coming into picture. So why do you think is government so keen on this?
I mean, I actually, to me, individuals don't matter because frankly, all the rich people put together don't own so much. So see, Mumbai airport was always privatized. It was actually done by somebody else. So it does not matter who took it, what is it in the name. I think the government generally does not do a great job of running private enterprise. And government job is not to run businesses unless it's of strategic nature.
Yeah.
India has so many exceptional entrepreneurs who have built things. Why should government do something that it doesn't know? So if you look at it, you have Tatas, you have Birlas, you have Narayan Murthy, Nandan Nilekani, you have such great guys. And we are 1.3 billion people. And why would actually few people who are trained in governance and administration be actually trying to run businesses without skin in the game, with a lot of legal issues that will follow them when they are doing it, inability to take risk and or structured normally to cover their backside rather than actually look for a future. I think by discouraging and making money as a bad word, we have actually designed ourselves to stay poor for life. So therefore I'm pleasantly surprised that the government has the courage and the conviction to stand up. Prime Minister has the courage and the conviction to stand up and say that private entrepreneur is a good thing and not a bad thing.
Yeah.
In private, everybody says the same thing, but in public, this is the first time that you hear actually a Prime Minister thumping the table and saying it. So in that sense, I think there is probably some level of secular understanding across all sides of the divide. I don't think so 90% of the politician will call private sector bad now, given that every state government is spreading the red carpet to bring entrepreneurs, startups in. So I think there is a general change. It is not just the current Prime Minister, but it seems a lot of chief ministers from opposition are also doing the same thing. We heard about Chandrababu Naidu. We heard about the Odisha chief minister. We also hear about Yogi Adityanath also laying down the red carpet for the start.
Yeah.
So this is not necessarily about a party politics or a current government. It seems to be the right way to go.
Correct, absolutely correct. And was your business affected during the 2008 financial crisis as well as in the crisis that was just recently hit in 2020?
So I took a very large hit in 2010, the 2010 microfinance crisis. Not so much massively impacted by the Lehman crisis. So I was not impacted massively by the Lehman crisis. But there was something called 2010 microfinance crisis where Andhra Pradesh government passed a ordinance which created a massive trouble for us. So I went through that crisis, but it did not impact us much. We were also very small at that time.
Okay. And what about recently during the COVID times?
During COVID times, we had sleepless nights like any sensible, intelligent person was. So we had our own challenges. The challenges, hopefully, we are going to do very well in the post-COVID world.
Yes.
But stress test, if you have a cardiovascular disease, it would have come out. You would have had a heart. But good thing is, we went through our stress test and we are still alive and not been operated on. So
Yeah, absolutely. And how does your normal day look like?
Normal day, I normally get up around 6:37, spend a hour and a half working out. I actually work out at home, sometimes go for running. Then could actually come to office or get on Zoom, either ways.
Yeah.
Go back to, during the COVID times, normally I travel actually extensively. So I drive across India and I also travel internationally quite extensively. Last 1 year has been a pleasant change. I've been at home and available and willing to be seen and talked to by my family. So which has been a very, very good development. So in that sense, for all the negatives, last year has been quite good from a family.
Yeah, but how do you manage your time and also keep up with the daily updates, also manage the interviews that you are called for, and also manage the team? How do you do all of it in just 24 hours each day?
I think the easier thing is I don't manage anyone. I have found very competent and capable people, much smarter than me, who manage the businesses. So I really don't do much. And I have always believed in the dictum that if you are a CEO, you should never be busy. If
Yeah.
you're not a CEO, so I think, and I follow that. So generally, I'm available to. So I normally respond to all SMSs, all WhatsApp, all LinkedIn, all Facebook one. Of course, I miss because I have 35, 40, I don't know how many people, followers, etc. So it becomes very difficult to do it. And I am on multiple platforms. I'm on Twitter, I'm LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook. And but I try to respond as much as humanly possible. I also respond to anybody who calls this, and of course I receive 200 odd emails every day. I respond to. These days I have become a little tardy, but normally I'm quite good.
Okay, so if a normal startup would want to approach you, do you say that it's very easy to talk to them? Like, are you approachable in that sense?
You approached me, so and I'm talking. Must be approachable.
I approached you for an interview, but what about an investment?
Well, you can approach me for an investment. You can approach me for an interview. You can approach me for a job. People approach me for everything and anything.
Because
they approach me from villages. They approach me from wherever. I respond to everyone.
Yeah, because normally there is a saying that venture capitalists do have a sense of arrogance and attitude that they carry around them.
No, that those who have the sense of arrogance are not venture capitalists. They are basically doing a job.
Yeah.
If you have any worth as an investor, the entrepreneur is the more intelligent person, and otherwise we will become entrepreneurs ourselves. So an investor is a reasonably mediocre person who is protecting somebody else's money to find a bright person who can multiply that money. So a mediocre person cannot be arrogant.
Yeah, it seems like you read a lot and you gather so much of beautiful thoughts around.
I don't read at all. Only thing I have read is Ramayana and Mahabharata. I don't read it.
Okay, but that has a world of lessons around it. So
yeah, so unlike most people, I don't have any interest in management books. I would read some autobiography here and there, but I enjoy Ramayana and Mahabharata, and they actually give me interesting insights of my life. So they're probably the best books I have read, with wisdom that goes beyond, and also the phraseology that actually talks about very different characters. So the honesty of characterization that is there in Mahabharata is just amazing.
Yes, absolutely. But how do you keep yourself updated with these current affairs? Like, for example, you know so much about the union budget. So is it via the discussions that happen? Because you said you don't read much.
No, I actually just heard the speech.
Okay, and that's it.
Yeah, that's good enough. What else do you need? There's all this written, and then you just read one or two things here and there. There's not much to be. I mean, see, all this is a budget is a very short document. You just look at it, you read it. You can't be an expert, and making off-the-cuff comments is very easy. I don't think it requires great intelligence.
Yeah, very true, very true. But it's lovely chatting with you. I'm sure I'm going to come up with an investment plan soon, since you're so approachable and that conventional mindset has now been shattered. So I'm soon going to approach you for that.
You're welcome to do that.
Yeah, but thanks a lot for taking out time and letting me know that a CEO is also available to speak to youngsters, and they very well enjoy that.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. Have a good day ahead.
Take care. Bye bye.